Hey guys, thanks for joining us. Last week we hosted our first GOMC learning series to discuss how to kind of incorporate your Google Plus business pages as part of your team's overall online strategy. And for those of you that aren't familiar with GOMC, it's a Google Online Marketing Challenge. So essentially what that is, it's an opportunity for students to kind of get engaged with online marketing and utilize the Google AdWords platform and the Google Plus platform to manage online campaigns and get some experience there. There's some pretty great prizes there, and last year we had over 50,000 students from 100 countries participate. And this week we wanted to kind of, for those students that are just kind of joining the competition or just starting off, to give a few quick tips on how to set up a good campaign and go over that. And just to introduce myself, my name is Brian, and also joining us today is Andrea.
Hi everyone. As Brian said, my name is Andrea, and I'm happy to be here and to go over some account management and campaign strategies.
Yep. And so just to start off with, if we go to the next slide, we'll kind of outline what we're going to talk about today. And first we'll start off with just kind of an AdWords overview, like kind of how the AdWords system works, how you pick keywords, how you structure your ad groups, and budget your campaigns. We'll also talk a little bit about what that structure means, like what are those best practices that we tend to see work well. We'll also go into kind of writing good ad text copy. And there's a few quick tips on how this all kind of works together. And then by the end of it, hopefully we'll have a good idea of how we can measure what's working and what's not. Next slide. And so, we're looking here at kind of the first, how can I put it, the top level of what makes an AdWords campaign successful, or how we set ourselves up for success. As you can see in the slide, there's you kind of have your campaign, which is like the top level, right? And at the campaign level, there's certain settings that go along with that, certain bidding features that go along with that, and that's where the budget is set. So for example, if you have a budget for a certain campaign that's at $10, it can spend up to $12 in a given day, but over a 30.4-day period, that campaign can spend $10 on average per day. So that's where you kind of mainly structure everything out. It may be a big theme like a product line, a certain service that you provide, things like that. Below the campaign level is the ad group. And this is where you kind of want to bucket your keywords according to these different sub-themes, right? So let's say you have a product line that are shoes, right? Each ad group could be a different type of shoe, because then the keywords and the ads can match up and be together within a certain ad group. And then you can strategically bid that way as well and control your account from that level. Next slide.
Okay. So now we're going to be talking about best practices. So as Brian was saying, at the campaign level, this is where you have all of your settings. So you can do the different locations that you want. So you can select a city, let's say New York City, to target all of your ad groups and your ads and keywords to that location. Or you can even do a radius for New York City and have it expand out to, let's say, New Jersey or Connecticut. So that's something that you can also set at the campaign level. You can also do the bidding options that Brian mentioned. So you can let the system decide your bid, or you can actually select the option to manually bid for your different keywords. There's also going to be the language settings. So this is a global challenge, right? So for some of your businesses, they might be located in multiple countries where people speak different languages and read and understand different languages. So I can select, let's say, English, Spanish, and French as the languages I want to target, and that's all going to be at the campaign settings level. Next, as we said before, you can have multiple ad groups within one campaign. So I know we showed 2 on the previous screen, but you could have, let's say, 10, 15, 20 different ad groups within the different campaign, and you want to make those very concise and very specific to the focus and the topic area. And then lastly, at the third level, this is where you're going to choose the relevant and specific keywords. Okay, next slide.
Yeah, and I think this slide, Andrea did a really good job of covering the kind of major themes that you want to kind of create a campaign around. So again, location, meaning geographic location, New York versus California. Those might be two different campaigns, right? Language, English versus Spanish, right? You want to have your Spanish keywords in a different campaign with their own budget versus an English campaign, for example. And then the budget, of course, is set again at the campaign level. Next slide. And then this slide kind of talks a little bit about, the idea of where we want to create our ad groups. How do we decide what should be an ad group and what should be a campaign? And essentially, when you're thinking about the business that you're helping out, helping them market their online strategy, what you want to do is either create kind of a tree or a Venn diagram, depending on the types of products or services that they offer. And if certain products and services overlap, you might say want to create one ad group that talks specifically about how those two work together, right? And pick keywords that follow that theme. If the products are very different and they can be easily organized, so shoes, pants, shirts, hats, things like that, then it's kind of a much simpler implementation. But really, I think this is kind of the key way you can set yourself up for success, is organizing and thinking about the business that you're working for and thinking about all the things that they offer to give them good coverage and kind of a good breakdown for how you approach those different keywords. Next slide.
Okay, so here's an example. So say you're a dentist, right? There's 3 different ad groups that you want to have. You want to have your cosmetic procedures in one ad group. You want to have your dental implants in another ad group. And then you could even market yourself as a pediatric dentist. So what type of keywords would you want to have in these different ad groups? So for the cosmetic dentist ad group, you would want to have keywords that say cosmetic dental office, local cosmetic dentist, cosmetic dentist Mountain View, and these are all examples of how you can make your keywords very specific. So you're calling out the different locations where you're located. You're calling out the specific service. You're even saying, you're calling out the procedures and things like that. Any of these is going to help your ad groups be more specific and really focus in on that targeting that you would want.
And then kind of tagging along on that point, there's also another way to think of your different, keywords and ad group buckets. One way to think of them is like kind of brand terms. So for example, for this dentist, the brand term would be the name of that dentist's practice. So if it's, Dr. So-and-so, that would be a brand term of his, right? Or if he named his dental practice something like Smile Free, I just made that up. But if that's the name of his dental practice, that's your brand term, right? So you might want to create a specific ad group tailored to just those brand terms, or maybe even a campaign, depending on how complex and big this brand is. The kind of next level would be the specific products and services that they offer. So again, with dental implants, that's a product that he offers that might make sense to run on those things. Then the last kind of level of keywords are long-tail keywords. So those are the types of keywords that are more related to the service but don't directly speak to what this dentist does. So for example, a keyword you could pick there is my tooth hurts, right? That doesn't necessarily connect with the dentist and what he does, but someone who's saying my tooth hurts or I have a cavity, those types of keywords could play into, work well with the dentist, for example, because they're looking for, they don't know the service or product they want yet, but they have a need. And, thinking about your strategy carefully there to target those different customer segments will help you, set you up for success. Next slide. And I think, on this point, when it comes to choosing your relevant and specific keywords, for example, if you're a TV repair shop located in, say, Mountain View, you can see kind of on the left and the right the kind of differences that make a relevant versus irrelevant keyword. So, for example, this particular advertiser may have chosen LG TV repair, television repair, Mountain View, but he doesn't want to pick a keyword that's very general, like just the word TV. Because there's a lot of different things that can go into that word. For example, someone might be selling TVs, new TVs, used TVs, old TVs. Someone might be talking about that they're going to appear on TV. So depending on the search, you want to think a little bit intuitively about, okay, what would a user search for that would lead them to try my product or service? And so in this case, again, for television repair, the keywords on the right are more likely to speak to that.
Next slide. Okay, so a group of keywords that are also very, very important for any account, any campaign, is going to be negative keywords. So these are keywords that you can add where we're going to make sure that you're never going to show for these. So using the previous example, if someone typed in free TV repair, you wouldn't want your ad to show for that because you want your users to pay for your service. So you would want to add free as a negative keyword. Also, an example could be how to repair my TV. You really don't want people who want to do it themselves. You want them to pay you for your service. So you would want to add how to, job, career, etc., class, course, those as negative keywords so that you make sure that you don't show for those. That just helps you save money on your budget and just makes you more competitive in the marketplace. And so by using these negative keywords, like we said, it reduces your spend and improves your click-through rate, which you'll find out later is a key metric in performance. But basically, you know, if I type in free TV and then I'm seeing an ad that says television repair, I'm not going to click on your ad, so that's going to decrease your click-through rate. Again, it makes your campaign more relevant. It improves your quality score, and it also improves your ad position. Okay, next slide.
Great. So now we want to talk a little bit more about what makes good ad copy on Google search. So essentially the way to write effective ad text, the way to start thinking about what makes a good ad, are to make sure you've covered our 3 best practices. One is to state what you're offering clearly. So once again, going back to that TV repair example, whenever you're writing your ad text, make sure that the idea that your business is a TV repair shop is conveyed. When you read it, make sure that you get a sense that that's what the service is that you're offering for that particular ad. The next point is to have a unique selling point. So if, for example, your TV repair shop gives a free consultation, or you get something in return, or you get a discount, something like that, you want to make sure that you advertise that in one of the lines of your text. And then the last thing, I think probably one of the most important things when it comes to writing effective ad text is to have a call to action. So if you're, say, working for an NGO that's soliciting donations, and that's one of the metrics that you want to measure for success, make sure you also include that in your ad. So if the point of, you want to think of what you want the user to do once they get to your site. You've presented them a good value proposition with the selling point. You've stated clearly what your business does. And if you want them to take a specific action on the site, whether it be donate, call now, order now, things like that, you want to call that out so that the user who is engaged with your product or service knows exactly what to do once they get to your site. Next slide.
Okay, so this slide specifically focuses on tracking the performance of your campaign and your ad groups. We do have a tool within your AdWords account. It's called the Ad Preview and Diagnosis tool. So if you're seeing that your ads aren't showing, or if you just want to ensure that they are showing, you can go ahead and use this tool. It's located in the Tools and Analysis section, Ad Preview and Diagnosis. So that's where you would locate it. You go ahead, click on that. You are brought to a screen that simulates a Google.com search. And in here, you can type in the specific keyword, the location, and then any other additional information. So if you have a radius or if you have multiple cities or languages, you can also enter those in. You click enter, and then it will give you a diagnosis of how this particular ad campaign, ad group is performing. So it'll say, yes, your ad is showing. It's coming from this campaign, this ad group. Or it'll say no and why. No, your ad is disapproved. No, it's not showing for this location. Or no, it's not showing for this language. So it's very important to use this tool just so you know exactly how your ads are appearing, and then if they're not appearing, what you need to do to fix it. The second performance metric is the CTR, so this is the click-through rate. And this is a simple formula of the number of times your ad was shown and the number of times that your ad was clicked on. So using this metric, you can really see if users are finding your ad to be relevant based on the search terms that they're entering in online. And then lastly, we have conversions. So this is how you can track the performance from the keyword, the click, the visit to your website, and then having them complete that specific action that Brian was talking about in the previous slide. So using the NGO example, in your ad you told them about what the nonprofit organization was, what they do, and then the call to action was to make a donation, let's say. So in your account, you're seeing that they searched on the keyword, they clicked on it, they went to your site, and then you can track within AdWords whether they made a donation or not, or if they did not make a donation. So that's another way you can kind of track the performance of the different campaigns and ads that you have in your account. Next slide.
Yep, and then just to go into a little bit more about click-through rate, since that's one of the most important metrics to measure how your campaigns are doing. In order to see your click-through rate, in case you're wondering, essentially if you hop into your AdWords account and you, in the middle row of gray tabs, you click on keywords, one of the tab options. The third or fifth column, depending on how you've set up your different columns within AdWords, you should see something that says CTR. That's what click-through rate gets abbreviated to. So essentially that's clicks over impressions. So you have 1,000 impressions, you have 300 clicks, your click-through rate's 30%, right? So that's how you can see how effective you've written your ad text. You can tell if the keywords you picked were relevant. There's a lot you can tell from that click-through rate, and it's important to kind of isolate those variables to see at what point your click-through rate is showing your success, right? And you can see that click-through rate at the different levels. At the keyword level, you can see individual words you picked. You can see that at the ad group level to see if you've bucketed everything well. And then at the campaign level, just to see how effective each of your advertising campaigns are. Same thing goes for conversions as well. There's two things that go into conversions. There's conversion volume, which is conversions one per click. So that's just how many actions users have taken on the site, whether they bought 50 cell phones, they made 50 donations. Whenever they get to a thank you page or your order is now shipping page, that'll get reflected. And then conversion rate means out of the people who clicked and got to your site, how many people then took the action, right? So a higher conversion rate tends to mean that you're bringing in the right customers to your store, your online store, and the store is easy enough to navigate that they can then buy. So again, looking at all these different metrics, can look at it in a lot of different ways, and hopefully we can give you some of those tools to make good decisions on what to change and what to keep. Next slide.
Oh, I was going to add a little bit to that slide. One of the things that you mentioned, Brian, is that you can see it at every level. When I talk to different advertisers, one of the things that I might do to drill down into the performance is I'll look at which campaign has, let's say, a lower click-through rate, and then I'll drill down to actually target it to which specific ad group needs performance, which specific keywords needs better performance, whether it's more specific keywords, adding negative keywords, etc. So it's really important to do a drill-down approach to see which areas are needed in more focus. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this slide is for quality score. This is something that is very, very important because it will also determine how high your bids are, and then it also gives you a good measure to see how relevant your keywords are to your ad text and to your landing page. So the metrics that are listed here basically all fall into the quality score and help determine what the actual quality score is. And if you notice the keywords in your account, the quality score will range from a 1 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10, with 10 out of 10 being, of course, the highest quality score and what you kind of want to shoot for.
Yeah, and just to add in a little bit to that, when it comes to how ads are ranked, how the Google decides what ads to show at position 1 versus position, say, 10, or 2 versus 4. You have a formula. It's called ad rank. And the variables that go into it are your bid. So if you bid, say, $1 on a particular keyword, and then you have a quality score of 5, that gets multiplied together. other advertisers bidding on the same keyword go through the same process. If they're bidding 50 cents but their quality score is 10, they might appear higher in the auction simply because their quality score is good. So those are the two variables that you can kind of weigh against each other and then, hopefully reach a certain ad rank within the auction. And I think that just kind of covers the main metrics of success there, and how you kind of measure how your performance is going. And hopefully that was really helpful for everyone, for people who are just starting off or kind of in the middle of the competition, to give you the tools to build really successful campaigns.
Did you want to go ahead and jump into the questions now, Brian?
I think that makes sense.
Okay. The first question that we have here is, can we promote a business which does not sell products online?
Right. So, that's definitely an option I've seen a lot of advertisers do. If they don't sell a product online, there's nothing to transact. I've seen advertisers, list their cell phone in the ad and encourage people to call, or when they go, let's say they click on the ad and then the person goes to that page. So again, going back to the NGO example, maybe they don't sell anything online, but they want for people to participate in some kind of rally, for example. They want you to call for more information. Taking them to that landing page with a unique phone number that they know only AdWords customers can see, lets them track how many people they're getting through AdWords and how many people are going to call and participate. So definitely, it's a strategy that I've seen a lot of advertisers pursue, even if they don't sell anything or do anything online.
Okay. The next question is, what is the difference between right side advertisements and top advertisements?
Right.
And, second part of the question, how can we specify where our advertisements can be displayed?
Right. So the way advertisements are ranked, so going back to that ad rank formula we mentioned when we were talking about quality score, the first thing you'll see in the top, right, so the top listed ad in the top part of the Google search when the ads are displayed, that's position 1. And then position 2 kind of falls, right under that, and then position 3 falls right under that. So those are called the top ads, so the ads that showed up in either positions 1 through 3. On the side, then it goes sequentially as well, right? So positions 4 through etc. Are the side ads. We tend to see a little bit better conversion rates and better click-through rates in the top ads, so that's why a lot of advertisers kind of try to get in the top 3 positions, but we've also seen success for advertisers on the side. It really depends on your strategy and the importance of each of these keywords. So if we kind of tying back into those long-tail keywords we discussed earlier in the presentation, if a keyword is not necessarily going to, isn't of a high priority, if it's on the side, it's fine, and that might do well for us. And if it's a really important keyword that really speaks to our business, we might want to try to make sure it's on the top. Touching on the second part of, the question, which was how do we pick or ensure that we get to a certain position, there's no way to really specify like what position I want my ad to be in. What we can do is kind of set our bids for certain keywords, ad groups, and campaigns, and see what positions we kind of land in. And then if we want to appear higher or lower, we kind of change the bid. So that's one lever. We can either bid more to appear higher, bid less to appear lower. The other way is to improve our quality score. So we can take a variety of actions there. Maybe make the landing page more relevant, change our ad text, something like that to get a better click-through rate, and hopefully raise our quality score, and then go up and down in the auction.
Okay, that was the last question.
Okay. So did you have anything else to add?
Nope. Good luck to the teams.
All right.